everyone. Welcome to the first episode of a new beer podcast called This Is Your Brain on Hops. We'll be focusing on beer as well as all the great conversations that come out of drinking beer, and they can be pretty great. With me here, I have a couple other hosts. We have...
I'm Alex.
And...
I'm Dan.
And we'll be talking about Dogfish Head in our first episode here. A lot to be said about Dogfish Head, obviously, one of the original craft breweries coming out in the 90s. And really, I just want to start with this quote that's just plastered on the outside of their building. It used to be on the inside, now it's on the outside, just larger than life on the side of the building here. But it's a Ralph Waldo Emerson quote. And it is, "Whoso would be a man must be a nonconformist. He who would gather immortal palms must not be hindered by the name of goodness, but must explore if it be goodness. Nothing is at last sacred but the integrity of your own mind." And obviously that means a lot to Sam Calagione, the founder of Dogfish Head. And it'll be all throughout our conversation here as we get started up with some Dogfish Head beers that we're drinking. And first up, we have 60 Minute. I don't know if Dogfish officially has a flagship beer, but if they do, it'll definitely be 60 Minute IPA.
60 minutes of continuously hopped goodness. I do think it is their flagship. Their website says that the original release date was February 2003. They opened in 95?
I think it was 95, or mid or late 90s. But even then, that was the brew pub, not so much the brewery itself with mass distribution.
Right, yeah. Rehoboth Beach was the original location.
Yeah, they weren't in Milton yet. So that makes sense. So pretty early on in the life of Dogfish, this beer came out and has just been dominating the IPA scene ever since.
Yeah. Nice East Coast hop, and it's got a nice malt backbone to it.
Yeah, definitely a signature of the East Coast IPAs. I'm a big fan of it for that reason, actually. Some IPAs come off as dry. I don't get that with this beer.
Right.
Particularly because it is an East Coast IPA, malt backbone, like you mentioned.
Right, and I think the West Coast, personally, I think they can be a little overbearing sometimes with the amount of hops that they put into it.
I'm not a big fan. It's almost disappointing. I want to say, it's not that it's bad, I'm a 90-minute guy.
He wants 30 more minutes.
Yes.
30 more minutes.
Isn't that what everybody wants in their life? Just 30 more minutes of leisurely time. There's
some things I don't want 30 more minutes of. I won't go.
When someone gives me a Labatt Blue, I do not want 30 more minutes of that beer.
No.
So
when I'm playing beer pong, 30 more minutes.
But could you play beer pong with this?
I think so. Nice. I think this beer, though, as we're drinking, it's not cold enough. I think hot summer day, it's light, it's crisp. I think it would go over really well. I want more of a hop characteristic. I'm used to more hops, especially this time at this day and age. Everything is so over. If you're doing an IPA, it is overly hopped now.
So he likes the West Coast hops.
I'm a West Coast guy. Way.
I know. I grew up in Buffalo, and I'm a West Coast guy.
Any IBU below 90.
Tupac. I said it. I'm going to start a gang war. You can blame Dogfish Head. There will be blood in the streets.
Hey, Sam has his own little hip-hop thing going on.
That's right. We can get Sam in on this. What is it? The gang war you wanted to start?
A beer gang war amongst all breweries.
Everyone
has a territory and a color. Or a hop variety.
But the gangs don't fight with guns. They fight via beer pong.
I like it.
With craft beers. I like that we've all drank so much craft beer that you crack open a 60-minute IPA. 60 IBUs, 6.0 ABV, and we consider this a light beer.
My palate has gotten spoiled. And I blame the fact that it's, for my palate now, like, it's not even a treat anymore for me when I get, the Alchemist Heady Topper or the Sip of Sunshine from Lawson's.
And those even are, they're not even available
can't get
outside
them in
the state.
But the access I have to them has become more and more. So now when I do get that lower, IBU beer, it's just like, I look at it and I just go, I want something else. And it's not because that is my snob. That is my snobbery moment of when I have a craft beer. And
that is your burden to bear. That's snobbery.
Well, it really is a thing that's happening in the craft beer community, because if you think about Sierra Nevada's Pale Ale, when it first came out in the late 80s, that was extremely hoppy, and it's 35 IBUs, I want to say. Don't quote me, but
I think so.
I believe it's in the 30s, 35, 38, somewhere around there. So I mean, that was considered extremely hoppy and bitter, and even Lagunitas, their IPA, that was extremely hoppy too. But then I remember hearing the brewer from Lagunitas actually say that one of his friends years later had a Lagunitas IPA, and since the IPA scene had changed so much and gotten a lot bigger and bolder, someone told him that his IPA wasn't hoppy enough. And then he said that person was stupid. And that is where the beer Hop Stupid was born.
All right.
Oh.
Okay.
There it is.
Nice. I like that origin story.
It's
I'm going to go pick up a Hop Stupid the next time I'm out.
You know what? The aroma on that beer is out of this world.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah, I love that beer.
back to the Dogfish is working on their new not new, but the experimental high. They're claiming it's the highest, which I'm pretty sure is false. I'm just
the highest
it
IBU
is.
beer.
It's
McKellar
100% accurate.
Now, what is that according to? Do you know?
They actually had it tested.
Tested. Now, I'm saying against another brewery, you come up with things like McKellar 1,000 IBUs. What are they coming in at? Because that's what I'm saying. Is this just country? Is this their?
It might be in the
brewery?
country. It might be in the country.
Wait,
Okay,
is
so then
McKellar?
McKellar is kind of disqualified.
Well, how was McKellar's figured out?
Yeah, I don't know if that's actually
See,
1,000
Dog-
IBUs.
I don't think it is. I don't think it's 1,000, but I thought it was
1,000
higher
seems-
than what Dogfish was coming in at.
Dogfish came in at 685.
685.
685 IBUs.
Damn.
They actually used a CO2 extract of experimental hops that were called Super Alpha, and they
Super
were
alpha hops.
20.8% alpha acid, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's mind-boggling.
Right, and they got an extract, a CO2 extract made out of those hops, and that's how they added that much bitterness into the beer.
Man, what has science wrought?
Right?
Greatness.
Greatness. Yeah, science.
They actually just came out. Sam started a little video series. How's it called? That's Odd. Let's Drink It. That's the name of his little series. There's 4
Solid
episodes
name.
out right now, and the whole thing is based on him meeting up with somebody, a person that he knows, and home brews a beer with them. And it's a beer that is tailored to that person. And one of the episodes was him and 2 of his college buddies, and they actually tasted this beer. What the hell is it called? Ooh Lordy or something like that?
Was that a beer that they brewed?
No, that's the beer that that's the really crazy hopped one.
Oh, okay. Wait, who's that one by?
Oh,
Lottie.
that's the name of it.
Oh,
That's the name of the
that 600.
Yeah.
685. Oh, I see. So this was a reaction video after they brewed it.
Yeah, he was talking to them about IPAs. They actually did a tasting of the 60, the 90, the 120 to prepare them for the bitterness. But their reaction was ridiculous. Their reaction to drinking it was absolutely ridiculous.
Oh, that's fantastic. See, that's an interesting progression. I don't associate that progression with increased bitterness. I mean, with the 90, I do a little bit, but then the 120, that's just there's so much else
Sweet.
going out there. Yeah.
It's velvety.
Yeah, so much maltiness, so much...
You saw the state I was in after I decided to... Oh, I didn't decide to. It was just kept being offered to me, and I ended up with 30 ounces of 120 in my system. But I could drink that stuff like it's water. It just goes down so smooth. It's
you know what?
delicious.
When there's a keg of 120 on and you hang your keys on the wall, you go for that 120 marathon.
You know you have a good beer bar when you actually get to go visit Dogfish's tap house and you tell the barista or bartender, oh yeah, no, they had a keg of it, and she says, wait, you guys got a keg of 120? We have a hard time getting a keg of 120. And I'm like, yes, connections.
Absolutely. That's been a couple times we've had 120 on tap.
This is true. It's been good every single time.
I've seen it on tap a few places.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it's getting more common. Like, when I go into like my beer store, I see it on the shelf or I see it behind the counter. And I'm like, you ask for it, or sometimes they'll just, you can take it. But it's, dare I say, it's almost not that special green cap anymore. Like when you would eyeball, it's like mine, and swipe it off the shelf, and it would be It's like. And I think that is because of everyone always hopping and going for something bigger, something stronger. How far can we push this till, that's going to destroy my palate so that I won't like the thing I just had? It's like, no, I want more.
I definitely agree that it's not as rare. It doesn't have that quality anymore. But I wouldn't argue that detracts from its specialness at all. There are a lot of other strange brews and big brews that are good in their own rights. But 120, when I drink that beer, it's still just delicious to me. And not even because of the sentimental value of having it a while ago and, back in the time when it was just so rare. But just the beer in and of itself. I love that beer so much.
I mean, that green cap that they designed, that is an iconic notion of, like, you see that shark and that neon green cap, you know what you're in for when you see that. And, I mean, I think you, Alex, and myself... And you might even have a couple weird, you collect them almost. Mm-hmm. That's I'm waiting to just where I can sit and just taste every single one.
The thing I can't stand, a pet peeve of mine, is when I'm in a bar and I see that bright green Dogfish Head tap handle. And I think, we have a green cap beer on tap. Is it 120? Is it Raison Extra? Is it Worldwide Stout? And then you walk up. And they say, oh, yeah, 60 minute. We just have this tap handle lying around.
Such a disappointment.
I just can't. I mean, any Dogfish Head beer I'm going to enjoy. But they're not green caps. They're not all green caps.
There's so many handles that Dogfish has, and you go to so many festivals, and then you see it, and it's just a letdown. It's like, why is this green? And then you go, oh, it's what the distributor gave us. Like, you get that off of there. I don't want to see it. You're nothing but lies.
I completely agree. You should be able to do a citizen's arrest if you see a green tap handle without a green cap beer coming out of it. It's just, there's no excuse for that, honestly.
There's not. You let me down. Actually, I think I said that to someone.
You have failed this tap handle.
Nice.
Okay, so the next beer that we have is Namaste.
Dan, isn't Namaste one of your favorite beers?
It is, actually. It's possibly my favorite beer during the summertime to drink. The other one actually is another Dogfish Head beer, which is the Chateau Jahou. Is that the pronounce?
It's close enough.
Close enough? I don't know. I don't like to say it that way. I have my own pronunciation for it. The Jiao.
I love saying Chateau Jiao.
Chateau Jiao. It's just so aggressive.
Sounds like some...
Rolls off the tongue like velvet.
Oh, it's like an ancient Chinese emperor, like General Chateau Jiao.
See? It works.
I would
it's not an aggressive
that
beer, though. To have such an aggressive name.
Yeah, but General Chateau Jiao is a very complicated man. You see, he's fierce on the battlefield, and yet in his personal life, he likes to just kick back and drink a beer named after him. It's actually the origins of the beer. Sort of. Not.
I don't think it is at all.
It's the origins of the beer, said by Chris.
Said by...
Those are my origins. The Namaste, my favorite aspect of it is possibly that little bit of orange and that lemongrass and coriander. I love that spiciness you get off of it, and it's just extremely refreshing to me to drink. Just sit back by a fire. I can grab a 6-pack of that, and I will probably finish that entire 6-pack by the end of that. By the time that fire dies completely out.
Well, only 5%. It's nice and light too, so you could
put
back a 6-pack
over a Bud Light any day.
Oh, absolutely.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Even macro brews that get that same kind of, like Blue Moon, for example. Those also have their lighter beer. They have some citrus in it, some orange, but. For those beers, it's almost like...
It's that Belgian wit style, that little bit, but there's... no backbone. No, there's...
It seems so upfront with the citrus, too. I mean, that's like someone just shoving an orange in your face. This
Well, they
beer
kinda
You
is...
have to put an orange
put
in
it
the
on the
glass.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
it's a gimmicky kind of thing. It's like, this is just subtle and nice, and it's not even overwhelming to drink, and I think that's why I like it so much. The food pairing, I think that you had said roasted turkey. I saw goat cheese that Dogfish had actually suggested with this. I would like to just actually do just a thing of cooking, just do a nice shrimp boil. Just that little citrus and just throw it right in the pot, see what it does. I think that would... just some seafood with
Throw
this.
the beer right in the pot.
Fuck yeah.
Hell yeah, cook with it.
Cook with
Yeah.
the beer.
And then drink it.
And
And
then
then drink it. Drink more of it.
that's when we get 2 6-packs. That does sound delicious, though.
I don't think 2 6-packs would be enough for the 3 of us.
That possibly
For the
a little...
And the food.
I wasn't intending on having you guys there.
Thanks, Chris.
That was going to be 2 6-packs of Namaste, a shrimp boil, and me.
Those are some drunken shrimp.
Drunken, yeah.
I just see Chris just lying on the ground, a bunch of shrimp peels everywhere, bottles strewn about,
I'll own that. Sounds like a good night.
with a giant smile on his face.
We walk in and we're like, Chris, are you dead? Who cares? There's Namaste left over.
No, I'm happy.
Chris, what happened? You told us to get here at 10. I started at 7. It's over. It was glorious. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. It's a great summer beer, though. Now, I mean, summer, playing outside, beer games. Would you rather play beer pong with Namaste or 60-minute IPA, which you also said was a lighter, summery beer?
I don't think I could play beer pong with Namaste. I think the carbonation's actually too high. I think it would actually be tough. Like, you're on a time... I think it's little... I don't think I could do it. And I don't think I would want to do it, either. Comparing 60... I think it's also very hard to compare 60-minute to Namaste on any level. Like, I think 60-minute, yes, is definitely easier to drink. I think I would probably sit back and take my time with Namaste. I think that'd be my verdict. Beer pong, I don't have time. I gotta crush that thing.
You gotta crush
It's
that.
go time.
And you can crush 60-minute. Namaste you could, but you don't want to.
I mean, although I can also crush a 120 like there's
That's-
nothing else. And that's scary.
I can
That is
I can
scary.
vouch to that.
Yeah, I don't know about crushing a 120.
Did it 3 times.
I bet I could do it.
With gusto.
I don't know how I'd feel afterwards.
Well, the
I
thing
should
with
tell you how I
120,
felt when I wandered over to the plaza next door.
the thing about 120 though is it is high in ABV, but it's just so drinkable
It's so
that you
hidden.
can, when you're crushing it, you're not just tasting alcohol going down. You're tasting that whole beer, which is, I mean, it's why it's dangerous and why it's just such a wonderful beer. But it's a crushable high ABV beer. There are other ABV beers that I would not want to crush.
You taste that booziness in a lot of them, and that is something that Dogfish somehow managed to do with all their green caps. They hide that boozy taste so well with those flavors that they use. Worldwide Stout, that to me is one of the scariest beers you can drink by far, just because you don't taste it. Without offending anybody out there, it is the girly drink of beers almost. That sweety kind of flavorful.
I know what you're getting at.
You know what I'm getting at. I don't want to.
yeah.
I don't want to say.
Yeah.
It's the terminology is probably wrong.
When the bartender just throws orange juice into vodka. And,
Exactly.
Yeah.
The rum and cokes. It's like, oh, I can keep drinking this, and yet by the time you're done, you realize, wow, what did I just drink? And you had one. But oh wait, that one was also 18 to 20% ABV.
No, I definitely agree with you there. I don't know. I wouldn't compare Worldwide Stout to a girly drink.
I said the
I
girly
agree.
drink style. I did not say it was
Yeah.
a girly drink, and that's why I said I don't want to use that term and offend anybody.
But the idea behind it, I think, definitely holds. And yeah, I mean, like you said, all the Green Cap series, Worldwide Stout, 120, They are. I mean, I don't find any stout crushable, but the concept still holds. Any of those big beers where the beer style is crushable, I would be able to crush it if it was a Dogfish Head green cap beer. Just because you're not going to have to choke down the booze when you drink it. Really, this is all a moot point, though. If I have a 120 in my hand, I am not going to crush that. I'm going to savor the hell out of that beer.
Yeah, I love every second, every sip.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to crush it.
And
then I'm going to have one more. And then possibly a third.
I've seen you crush it, and while I wouldn't do it, I respect your decision. I respect that you volunteer as tribute to crush that 120.
120 is one of those beers where it's... I feel like I wouldn't want to say... like, we keep saying crush, but it's... I'm guzzling this down. But it's one of those beers where you're... Because you don't... when you taste booze, it almost prevents you. It's that flavor that you get that almost says, hey, you are drinking an alcoholic substance. It kind of makes you step back. You slow down a little bit.
Sure, it is a poison overall, yeah.
And a delicious poison that it is. But there's something about that one that you sit there and you sip it, and it, as it goes down, it kind of coats, and it's just warming and smooth. Like, you don't need a lot of chill on it, and you don't. And it's, but because of that, you put the glass down, and then by the time that glass goes down, you get that smile on your face, and then that glass comes back up again. And you just take it a little bit faster than you probably should.
So we've had a discussion on 2 Dogfish beers so far, neither of which were 120, and both ended up with discussions on 120.
120 is the winner.
That's just a testament to the beer. All roads point to 120 Minute IPA. Well, what's our third Dogfish Head beer coming up?
I think we are going to do the Pennsylvania Tuxedo.
And talk about 120.
And talk about 120.
Of course.
I actually don't think I've had Pennsylvania Tuxedo before. That's one of Dogfish Head's newer beers, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe it came out in the fall.
Perfect. Have you had this, Alex?
I have not. This
and
is my
Dan?
first time.
I have had it once before.
Once before?
Yes.
Perfect. So we'll get some initial reactions.
I think the spruce is just gorgeous.
Wow, that is a lot of spruce.
It is, but it's not like overpowering spruce. It's there. It's in your face, but it just goes away.
No, I definitely agree with that. Honestly, I was kind of worried that this would be like an air freshener in my mouth, which would obviously be a bad idea for any number of reasons. But you're right, it's not overpowering. There's so much spruce, but it's appetizing. It just blends so well with the beer.
Rosemary. I want rosemary chicken.
That does sound really good.
With this, I think it'd be fantastic.
This is my third different beer with spruce in it. The first one was actually a homebrew at a competition, and it was really overpowering. Like, unpleasant overpowering. And everyone at the table was saying that, and I'm sitting there like, yeah, it is, but at the same time, there's something I don't like about it.
Was that a beer that you made?
No, this was a beer that somebody entered into the
Gotcha, you were judging this beer?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was my first experience with spruce. And then I was like, I wonder if I ever see spruce tips in a beer, I will definitely try it because I like that flavor.
Yeah. Just
not the overpowering character of this beer. And then I had Yards Brewing Company out of Philadelphia. They have one, it's Thomas Jefferson's beer, and it has blue spruce in it, and I fell in love with that beer when I was in Philly. Every time I went back to Philly, I looked for that beer, I found that beer, and I drank a shitload of that beer.
Do they distribute to New York?
No, they don't.
Well, then enough about that. We're in Pennsylvania.
That sounds like a road trip to me. Down to Pennsylvania. So those are your 2 previous spruce experiences?
Mm-hmm.
How does this stack up to those 2 experiences?
I would love to taste this right next to Yards. Right next to the Thomas Jefferson one. I think it would be a good tasting. Because they're both phenomenal beers, but I wish this was still in season right now. I would buy a 6-pack of this in a heartbeat.
Considering the Buffalo weather we've been having, I think we should still have this on the shelf. It is still in season right now.
I agree.
This weather's been some bullshit. I don't know, some nice spruce tea or something like that during the winter. I think, forget the whole fall notion. Fall, winter. Let it ride. Keep it going, until...
Especially a beer
February.
like this.
Come on.
Until February.
February. We're in Buffalo. Winter doesn't end until March.
I enjoy your optimism. I definitely agree with you on that front, though. I'm usually very seasonal with my beers. Once it starts getting cold in November, usually mid to late November, I switch to stouts and porters. I'm usually a big fan of stouts and porters, but they feel weird over the summer. But this year, we've been having kind of lukewarm temperatures.
60 fucking degrees.
60 degrees, yes.
This is throwing me off my beer game.
No snow yet, or maybe a little bit of snow here, sprinkling here and there that goes away right away. It's really messing with my head as far as beer goes. I don't know if I still want to have some of those fall beers. I don't know if I want to have a stout. I don't know. Some of these days, I want to crack open a Namaste and sit on the porch.
Yeah, a couple days ago, I actually had an Oktoberfest, and I felt okay about it.
Wow.
I should be drinking barley wines and stouts right now, and
Damn
I'm not.
right.
Yes.
This is a travesty.
I want a barley wine, but I'm not, craving it because the weather isn't there.
Yeah. When I drink a barley wine, I usually want to crave it.
Yeah.
I want to have something to warm me up a little bit.
Right. I want it to be cold outside. I want to see snow outside. I want a fire going. I want to sit down and watch TV and
Curl
drink
up
some
with a good
barley
book.
wine.
A good book. That's
a good book and a
do you
good
drink when
barley
you read?
wine.
Yeah. Do you drink and read successfully?
Yes.
How much do
Really?
you remember?
Because, see, I've got the nice setup of my couch, and then the table that goes right across my window ledge is right there. So I can put my glass of whatever it is I'm drinking, curl to the nice cushy corner of my couch, read, and then if I need to grab that beverage, it's right within that arm's length, and then I just, sip away. Could be cocoa, could be tea. Usually it's not. It's usually beer.
Okay.
But, oh yeah, drinking while reading, it's a pleasure.
Do you have a limit? Will you not go double digit, for example?
No, last year,
are you just full on?
Do you think Dan really has a limit with anything?
I have no limit. The storm, and actually Dogfish tweeted me back on the photo because of the snowstorm we had, and the snow is so high above my window where I was sitting. I actually had my 120 sitting in the snow. They brought it right back to 120.
And there's the 120
the 120
reference.
right there it is
Discussion.
again. Just sitting right outside my window, and I'm just like, I am coming down to the last remnants of my beer. If this snow doesn't start to leave, I'm out. I sat back, I read because the power was out, and I just finished off the night with that. It's like a nightcap.
I don't like to talk about the Buffalo Storm of 2014
You
because
were in dire straits.
I didn't have a beer stash to rely on. I was trapped in my home for 4 days with no beer. It was awful.
That was a sad situation.
Yeah, and it's not like I could just chill or do substitutes. I still had to work because I can work remotely. So I'd put in an 8-hour day, and then at the end of that day, I'm still at home with no beer. It was a suboptimal situation.
That is
You
awful.
could have had beer while you worked.
Way to
You really need
way to bring that memory down even further. Just throw it down and stomp on it a little bit.
Alex, you and I, we have our own personal shelf. Behind you right now, of our own personal stash, as it would be,
Many boxes.
of beer. Things that we've gotten from other breweries, things we've made, things we stock up on. I am fully prepared. I say bring on the snow this year.
I agree. I have 4 kegs in the kegerator. I have 5 gallons of mead over there.
How about it, Chris? Are you ready for if it hits us? Will you be prepared?
This year I am. I've started to stash this year. I've learned my lesson. I am really ready to grow from this experience as a person and a beer lover. But so far, winter is just giving me the big middle finger. It's saying, "Oh,
it's all right.
You have a good beer stash at home. You know, you can walk to the beer store if you want to. The weather's nice outside."
That's perfectly all right, and that's perfectly acceptable. The whole notion is, are you prepared? See, I was coming down to the point where I had to start rationing out my beer and figure out, what am I going to drink today? Not this. There is no rationing. If I'm thirsty, and I'm drinking it.
Okay. So you were prepared last time, but now you're just bringing it to a whole new level.
Oh yeah.
Last time, towards the end, those last couple of days,
it's getting scarce.
You had to ration. This year, you're just going full on extravagant.
Balls to the wall.
This is just like a bacchanalian, just party the whole time.
Exactly. Just a drunken stupor. I get hit with that snowstorm, I'm going to be lying on the ground laughing at the snow.
Wow. That's, kind of want to get trapped at your house for a snowstorm again.
That's right, you were trapped at my house.
I was trapped at your house for part of it. The first part, where I was coming home from work and couldn't make it home, so I stopped at your house.
And didn't I have steak?
You did have steak. Honestly, it was a great... If you're on your way home and the snow is just so blinding that you can't make it, and you have the option to stop at a friend's house with a steak, I recommend doing it. It is very choice.
I thought you were going to send the fans and people over to my house.
I mean...
I don't want them there.
Go
They'll
for
drink
it.
my
Give them
beer.
the address.
If you're in Buffalo, there's a home that is just wonderful during a snowstorm.
He has plenty of steak and beer.
Steak and beer.
I'll share my beer. The steak gets untouched.
The next day, foolishly, I wanted to go home, and I drove when I probably shouldn't have been driving, got home, and then that's when my beer drought started, if you will. I should have just stayed there the whole time. I mean, if I had thought ahead and seen how much beer was available to me, would have never left.
You should have just taken his beer.
See, you know what?
I couldn't do that.
See, that's punishable by death.
Killing your whole...
That's what that is.
There are some things you can steal in life, but a man's beer is not one of them.
I'd rather take
ask
the
politely
steak.
for it.
I'd rather take...
I was going to say I should have just strapped a barrel of barley wine to his neck. Like a
dog.
He could have taken it home with him. He gets stranded, at least he's got that to keep him warm.
I wouldn't have refused. But earlier, you were talking about reading and drinking, and the main question wasn't so much can you do it comfortably from an ergonomic point of view.
Can you not?
No, I can. If just comfort is my point, then yes, I can. But no, just if I drink a lot, reading becomes more difficult. You're getting drunk.
Oh, it's the blur, like your senses.
Not so much the blurry. That's
I'm
really
usually not
drunk.
getting drunk.
I'm not getting really drunk. But still, your mind's being affected to a certain point.
Like, one of my favorite pastimes, comic books. I love to just crack a beer open and sit there. But a lot of times I find myself, if I'm reading comic books or something like that, I'm at my kitchen table, and I'm sitting in my chair, and, I'm just, going page by page, and, I'm just sipping and, going, reading. But never does it hit the moment where I'm, starting to do that, tip back and forth, my vision's getting blurred, and the fist punches are becoming real, and I'm seeing the swoosh speed lines hitting me in the face.
I'm not talking about getting completely shit-faced and reading, but just, I suppose it depends what you're reading. If you're reading, like, history or political science or some kind of nonfiction work,
yeah, I read political science.
Odds are you're not going to want to have your ability impaired. If you're reading comic books or maybe a fun fiction story, then
nice 50 Shades of Grey.
Maybe it adds a little bit of,
How about that, Chris?
You loosen up your imagination a little bit.
Well, 50 Shades of Grey, nice Bloody Mary, maybe a mimosa.
It's Bloody Mary.
A poinsettia.
Sitting on the dock. It worked. I did it, and I know you did too, so don't even lie about it.
No, I'm not going to lie about it. It was a wonderful time in Canada.
That's a story for another day.
That's for another podcast. But no,
were you wearing a Canadian tuxedo?
No, actually, to represent America, I brought my Pennsylvanian tuxedo up there. I'll just point out though, full flannel in the midst of summer, not a great idea. Yeah, I didn't appreciate Dan reading 50 Shades of Grey in a birthday suit. Not a great image. Good beers, good Bloody Marys, not a great image. But the whole idea...
No one told you to look.
You were running around.
Not while I was reading.
That's true. You were oddly still for that.
I had an Adirondack chair in the lake, and I sat back, and I drank, and I read, and I was comfortable and wet.
It was the best of times, it was the worst of times.
I'm going to let that one go.
You're a good man, Alex. But no, seriously. The whole idea of consuming some kind of media and drinking. I mean, reading, I suppose it depends on what you're doing. But, for example, the other day I was rewatching the Star Wars prequels, which, new Star Wars movie coming out soon, super psyched about. I wanted to watch the prequels and the originals beforehand. I watched the prequels, and while I did that, with movies, I love drinking beer. I don't normally drink beer when I go see a movie at the theater, but if I'm at home, I love drinking beer, and I love planning out the beer beforehand. For example, one of the beers that I had this time was Mephistopheles from Avery, which just got the 2015 release of that beer here in New York. Big beer, big stout, 17%. But I planned that to watch with the beginning of the third movie, Revenge of the Sith. I know it's a dark movie. I know there's a lot of action sequences. I thought maybe if I get a little bit blitzed, those action sequences would be kind of neat. The whole fact that it's called Mephistopheles, kind of a betrayer character or an evil character, and I mean Revenge of the Sith, we have lots of those characters in that movie. So I thought it went pretty well. But like as far as movies go, what do you guys think about beer in movies?
Oof.
If I'm sitting down to watch a movie, I definitely want a beer in my hand.
Do you plan it at all? Do you want a big beer or a small beer?
I want something easy drinking.
You always want something easy drinking?
I want something easy drinking. I don't need something overwhelming. Like, and I'm not even talking like a slow sipping beer, just something that's just, brings my mind down, just something relaxing that I can just sit there and just sip, no problem, maybe have a few, and that's it.
Really? So you would rather have a Namaste,
sit there 2.5 hour movie. I'm gonna drink a couple probably within that time.
Well, I'm not saying drinking a couple isn't on the table there, but you'd rather have something smaller than maybe a little bit bigger.
Define smaller.
Under 5% ABV.
I'd probably under 5. No, I'd probably be at least 5 or 6.
Or do you mean lighter in flavor?
Like I could probably Namaste. I would probably be perfect drinking that Namaste.
But Namaste isn't lighter in flavor. It has a lot of flavor to it.
I meant ABV wise.
ABV, okay.
That 5% or kind of beer. But I do get more flavor out of that one. I'm a big fan of Japanese beers. I do find, I will admit,
those are lighter.
Lighter, Sapporo. One of my favorites.
Now, have you drank Japanese beers while watching Japanese cinema?
You know I love me some anime.
I know you love you some anime.
And I have. And I have gotten drunk, too, while doing it.
Now, see, isn't that, doesn't it just add a whole new dimension to the experience? You have anime on the screen, you have sound and visuals, and then you also have Japanese beer, and I'm assuming on at least one occasion some sake?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Mm-mm. And that whole, it just expands the experience.
You get yourself a nice good bowl of ramen, you sit there.
Ramen, food and
absolutely.
drink.
You start, I will admit, when it comes to Japanese beers, they have it right. The foods that you usually are eating with that style of beer, at least in their country, are usually scalding hot. And there's a great pleasure you get out of it. Eating something like that, spicy or temperature-wise, and then you have something nice, cold, and refreshing. Not, we're not talking about a flavor profile of, something that has a lot going on in it, but that just chills the mouth, makes you refreshed, and you keep drinking it, and it's just enjoyable. And then I've just got anime in front of me, and I just keep going with it.
That sounds like a great... I'm not super into anime, but describing that situation...
A nice good
hot
yakitori.
Onslaught of sensory...
hot fat.
Stimulation. It's just... It sounds pretty great.
It just sounds... Now I'm hungry. God damn it.
Alex, are you a big beer or little beer kind of guy when it comes to movies? Or TV, whatever.
It depends on my mood, but normally if I'm sitting down to watch TV or watch a movie, I'm home. So I will normally go with a bigger beer.
Okay.
Because I ain't driving.
Okay.
So fuck it.
I will.
Now, do you think that adds to the experience, though? Or do you just do it because you can? You enjoy beer, you enjoy movies? They're two separate things you enjoy? Or do you think kind of putting them together, you enjoy that experience?
Personally, I've never thought about putting them together, pairing a beer with a movie.
Okay.
Actually, along the Dogfish line, Sam Calagione at the 2014 GABF actually did a presentation on pairing beer with music. And up until you mentioned movies, I totally forgot about it. Because I never really thought about pairing a beer with music.
Bitches brew.
Yeah, right.
Now,
but it's about taking that beer and pairing it with a moment in time, the music, what it is, or in this case, a movie. And bringing those two to create an experience. So,
was that recorded at all? Or actually, were you at that talk?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because I know you went to one of the JBFs.
Yeah, the 2014 I was at. I'd
be interested in his talk about that because it sounds similar to what I was thinking.
Yeah, I mean it. I don't know if it was recorded or not.
I'm sure he's talked about it at some point.
Yeah, I'm sure you can find him talking about it.
Yeah.
But going with your whole notion of pairing a beer with, I guess we'll just say media, whether it be literature, film, or music. Mike, you had said, Chris, TV, maybe not a show. You are a season ticket holder, Alex.
Mm-hmm. For the Buffalo
Sporting
Bills.
event.
Oh, live spectacle.
Not just live. When you're watching that game, what do you drink? You said that you'd go for TV, that big beer, but maybe like your birthday coming up, gonna be out, Bills game's on. What do you drink?
Well, along the lines of being a season ticket holder, every single game I start the morning off at usually around 9 o'clock with a Oscar Blues 1050.
Wow.
Going strong off the bat.
Yeah, you just come out of the gate swinging there.
It tastes like coffee, and it's fucking delicious first thing in the morning.
Good for you. That is a wonderful beer.
No, I mean, I usually have a big breakfast sandwich right before, so my stomach is nice and full. Why not fill it with a nice, big, delicious beer?
All right.
So you have that huge beer. I'm curious, what comes after that? What is the morning like for tailgating a Bills game? For you.
Breakfast sandwich, a 1050. Eating random food that people are cooking up, steaks and chicken and all kinds of stuff like that. And then moving normally to one of my home brews, which I fill a growler up and bring that in a cooler. Usually that, but sometimes just a 6-pack of something. I'll usually go with something a little bit lighter at that point. Like, okay. This past season I've been going with the One Buffalo from Southern Tier.
Oh, yeah, and that's served at the stadium too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. When I'm in the stadium, it's usually the Goose Island IPA or the Southern Tier IPA, though.
See, and Dan, you mentioned being live there or not there. When I'm there, actually I echo Alex's treatment almost exactly. But when I'm not there and when I'm watching it on TV, and you're both going to be very upset at me for this, but I actually go just big, or not big, but small macro brew. I'll drink Bud Light, while I'm watching a football game.
I'm not mad at you, though, because I do the same thing.
Okay.
Well, their marketing is so in your face during the NFL games that you can't help but drink it.
I go small. Like I like to go to my local beer bar, and they have the nice setup. But the thing is, and while they have a massive tap list, I don't find myself drinking the beers that are so, maybe it's a heavy oak aged Scotch ale or a high, double IPA. I just I just want something that's easy going. I want to sit in this chair and I'm focused. I'm focused on the sport. I'm just like, that's all I'm focused on. I was like, I want my team to win, and if I don't want to worry about my beer.
Yeah, no, that's actually a good point. If you're out at a bar somewhere watching the game, I mean, there's 2 points that I kind of rest on for drinking a macro beer like that or a lighter beer. One is my pocketbook. I mean, a football game is 3 hours. You're going to get a lot of drinking there. That can get expensive if you're going with some nice craft beers that whole time. Second is just my general state of well-being and the ABV. I mean, if I'm going with a Bud Light, I know it's going to be, low 4s, 4.5 ABV. If I go with craft beers, I mean, we might get a mixture in there. Maybe they have an all-day IPA from Founders, which is around 4.5. But, I mean, in general, I'm going to get a little bit more toasted than I would just sticking with Bud Lights. So just from a point of view of I want to be able to watch the game paying attention to it, and I don't want to spend just shit tons of money while I'm out at a bar watching a football game, I usually do stick with the macro brews.
Now, I've gone to games with you, Chris. I don't know if the scene has changed, Alex, this year, because I haven't gone to the game. You and Chris have been there. Has the craft beer scene changed a lot at the stadiums, you think, of what you can now get and expect?
I wouldn't say it's changed so much.
Or is it getting better?
I mean, it's present now, but it's not evolving at all. Nor do I really expect it to.
What I
but
tend
Alex,
to
you
see...
might be able to talk about this a little bit more, but...
I mean, I only know my section, and my section, when you walk out, there's a Southern Tier table right outside that they have the IPA and they have the One Buffalo. And then at the other end of the section, there is Goose Island, and they always have the 312 wheat and the IPA. So those are my options. And at $9 a beer, it's the same size as a Bud Light, and it's the same price. And Southern Tier
why
is
Buffalo
7.3.
tailgates so heavily,
Yeah.
and we destroy that parking lot.
Go Buffalo.
But when it comes down to it, once I get into the stadium, I have 2 beers.
Yeah.
Pre-game, motherfuckers. Pre-game.
I get in there. I have, I either get a One Buffalo or usually the Southern Tier IPA, and then we'll go sit down and we'll nurse our beers pretty much because we're watching the game. We're there. We're in it. So, we nurse our beers, and then usually right before halftime, we're like, shit, we need more beer. So we'll go and get one because they stopped serving at halftime. So then we'll have one for the beginning of the second half, and then have one when we get back to the car.
No, ease of access is definitely a factor. When you have to walk down an aisle and go stand in line for a beer, you're a lot less likely to do it than when you have to kind of stretch over in your really comfortable chair and open the cooler and grab a beer that you brought out of it.
Yeah. When I'm home, I don't go to macro brews at all. But I'll usually go to my home brew.
Okay.
Whatever I have on tap at the time.
That would make sense. I mean, you're just chilling on your couch for 3 to 4 hours.
Right, and it's usually around the fall. It's usually like my Oktoberfest or my Porter. I always have an IPA on tap, so there's always that option too. So
yeah, so whatever you have going at the time.
Right. Or if I was at a certain beer store that we like to frequent, then I'll usually have something that I brought home from that on Friday or Saturday night. So then I'm like, I may as well start the day with this.
Define a macro brew, I guess. And there will be a reasoning behind this.
Budweiser, Blue, Miller, Coors.
All right. Because, I don't know, I got shunned a little bit yesterday just because of my choice of what I threw in my fridge. I didn't want anything fancy, and I was like, but fridge, nothing in my fridge. I think there might have been like 2 brown ales. And I was like, all right, I got to go buy some new beer. And I was like, I was in Wegmans, and I walked there, and I was like, oh man, this is when I finally figured out, I was like, this is getting out of control. I was walking through, and I'm just going across all these different beers, and I'm like, I'm actually a little bit overwhelmed here. I'm just seeing the signs, East Coast, West Coast, this country, that country. I'm like, I don't really need all this. I'm looking for 2 different types, light and dark. That's it. And I ended up stocking my fridge with Stella and Guinness. That is all I wanted. I was like, that's all I needed. It's like, I am in that mode. I just want something either light drinking, or I want to feel like a drunk man and just giant 16-ounce pint glass and something heavy. That's it.
I'm not going to mock you for either of those choices.
I got mocked at my beer bar when people found out. They were ashamed
sure.
of me. They expect higher standards of me.
See, Guinness I respect across the board. I enjoy drinking it. I like when it's at a bar. I love it on Nitro. If anyone mocks you for Guinness, that's just ridiculous. Stella, I've seen people get mocked for having Stella before. It's okay. I'm not a huge fan of it. I'll drink it if it's there and there's really nothing else that I'm into. But, either of those choices, I don't really know if I would go after somebody for those.
Miller High Life.
Miller High Life. The champagne of beers.
I know you guys like that one.
It is a personal favorite, and Sam Calgione is a Miller guy.
You know what's a personal favorite?
He said if given the choice between them,
I will say that,
he finds Miller a bit more, it has a bit more hop character to it.
Miller guy.
You know, one of my personal favorites is Burton Baton from Dogfish. The idea behind it, of it being half Imperial IPA, half English-style Old Ale, and then blended together into a barrel is just amazing to me. And the IPA is there, that malty character of the Old Ale is there, but you have this woody character with the vanilla notes in it. It's heaven to me.
It's like the mulatto child of beverages.
Wow. And I'm done drinking.
Who doesn't like a mulatto child?
Everyone loves mulatto babies.
No, I love that aspect too. And honestly, the first time I had this beer, someone told me they left out the IPA part. They just said it was an English style. And
English.
I'm normally not a huge fan of...
Oh, you are totally against the English style.
Not totally against.
No, I think he just hates J.W. Lee's.
Yes, you do.
Yes, you do.
J.W. Lee's is for another podcast. But this beer...
We will do one whole tasting of nothing but J.W. Lee's.
All Harvest Ale.
I'm going to be mysteriously sick that week. I'll send a proxy podcaster that week. It'll be fine. They'll love it. But yeah, somebody told me it was an English ale, and I thought that's weird. I normally don't like English beers, and then I find out that it's that kind of mixture of those different threads, that Imperial IPA, and the result is pretty great. And we're nearing the end of the podcast here, but before we end, I just wanted to ask you guys something else. We're coming to the end of 2015 here. 2016 is going to be starting up pretty soon. What are you looking forward to or apprehensive about when the new year starts? Beer related if you can. If not, go for it.
I'm excited to see the direction that breweries take with styles. I know we had it started with an IPA craze and everyone was going hop crazy. And then beers got bigger and bigger, double IPAs, imperial stouts, and people got into the big, high alcohol beers. And then it started mellowing out recently with sessionable beers because people want to be able to have a lot of really flavorful beers and be able to drink a bunch of them. And then the Saison popped onto the scene, and that became a big style. And sours are taking hold now. And I'm just excited for another year of who is going to really make the next style really popular and what's going to catch on next.
Now, in your opinion, do you think those styles that are gaining momentum and not overshadowing IPAs, but they're becoming big in craft beer, sessionable ales, sessions, sours, are you excited about... Or rather, you think that they'll take certain new directions, new experiments, really good versions of them, or you're excited to see, that next thing, that next style that really takes off? Do you think that'll happen in 2016?
See, what I really think is that, I mean, there's so many styles out there that people don't even know about. That somebody starts brewing it, and then all of a sudden it's new. And people catch on to what's considered a new style to them. And it becomes huge. Like, Saison has been around for a really long time. But people started brewing it, and it's a popular style now. But I also think that, to quote Sam Calagione, if there's any sort of American tradition, it's the tradition of fucking with tradition. And so I believe that the Saison might be a big style now, but we're American, and we're going to add sage to it. We're going to add this to it. We're going to add that to it. We're going to change styles, and we're going to create our own styles. And it's exciting to see what new style is created out of other styles.
I kind of want to leave it right there. Just how 2016. How fucked up can America get? Right there.
That's your outtake.
What's my outlook? What's my outlook of beers for 2016?
What's your outlook on beers?
What is that? A total mind blank. I think technology. I keep seeing a rise in for homebrewers, the small devices for the kitchen use. In terms of, two of us are homebrewers currently, and out of the three of us, I don't know, it's almost like a lab setup. You get all this stuff going, and it's chemistry. And to have almost that Keurig style system that you can, type in a bunch of numbers, dump your stuff in, and then, hey, you got a beer. It's a little disheartening. It takes something out of it.
But people are getting beers.
People are getting beers, but do you understand what you're getting? All those things that, a lot of people take the time and effort to produce something that you are enjoying drinking. There's a lot that goes into that. Like, a lot of, passion, heart.
It's
ideas.
No longer handcrafted. It's computer crafted.
It's the downfall of, I hate to say it, it's the downfall of what we see in a lot of industries. It goes to the computer device, which I don't want to see that happen. It's my beer.
There are benefits to it, though. The
True.
Reproduction value, the consistency you can get in a recipe.
But for a homeowner, I was like,
if you really like a certain beer and you brew it a certain way, and you can literally dump the ingredients in and have it come out the exact same way every single time, it's what that system is meant to do.
It's a scary thought.
It's tailored to a certain
Consumer.
type of person who that's what they're looking for.
I don't like that person.
You don't have to like that person.
I already don't.
And echoing the larger debate in society about the role of technology, in comes talk about beer, whether technology is good or bad. But 2016, anything you're looking forward to?
Immort Ale. I was recently told January it will be on the shelf of my beer store. I have wanted that beer back for quite some time.
It's delicious.
11% was it coming in at last time I had it? Don't want to quote me on that, so
let's go with yes.
I'm going to say
Let's
yes.
go with yes.
So
we know it's
super
big,
excited.
we know it's tasty.
Yes. And we had a conversation earlier, Chris. Possibly make it a little bolder. Throw a green cap right onto that Immort Ale.
Oh yeah, the green cap version.
The green cap version of
the
Immort Ale.
Raison d'Etre.
Green.
Whereas they have the Raison d'Extra, which is the bigger version.
Right.
Immort Ale is already huge. Let's make a green cap version of Immort Ale.
Let's go, Sam.
Let's go. Great. Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to that as well.
So, Chris, what are you looking forward to in 2016?
I'm actually really curious, and not to bring it back to macrobreweries again, but I'm really curious about the merger between AB InBev and SAB Miller. Not that, they're microbreweries by any stretch of the imagination, but they do impact microbreweries just by the fact that they have so much market share. And I'm really curious to see how that plays out. First of all, if it even goes through, and if it does go through, how it will impact microbreweries. Are we going to see some of them close up, have this huge empire? Or maybe they're going to consolidate a little bit, slim down, maybe focus outside of America, allow a little bit more room for growth from craft breweries. So I'm really curious to see how that plays out. And, I'm sure we'll be talking about that in 2016 as new developments come out. Big topic in the beer industry just because of the massive size of these two breweries. And that actually brings us to the end of our podcast today. That's all the time we have. Thank you, everyone, for listening to our first episode. I'm Chris.
I'm Alex.
I'm Dan.
And this has been Your Brain on Hops.